Welcome back. We are at ASNT 2024 in Las Vegas.
I'm Haley Cowans.
And I'm Garra Liming.
So obviously one of the huge themes in the NDT industry right now is training and education. And so for today's broadcast, we're talking to a lot of different folks here at ASNT 2024 about different training and education challenges and different new exciting programs that are happening that are really going to shape the future of the industry. So of course we can't talk about NDT education without mentioning some of the new and revitalized offerings from ASNT. And so I'm joined right now by Pam Rosenberg, who's the Director of Education for ASNT. So thank you so much for joining me, Pam.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about some of the educational offerings from ASNT?
So of course we have all of our ASNT Level 3 certification prep courses. Those have been very busy since our department was established about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We have a very robust catalog of e-learning offerings primarily for Level 2s, but we are getting into more of the Level 3 and more of the advanced topics. So there's kind of something for everyone.
Yeah, that's perfect. So the theme of the conference is engage. So how can people engage with ASNT's educational programs?
So of course join some of our live instructor-led trainings that'll give you an opportunity to meet directly with the experts in our field, and then also engage with others that are live in the classroom with you as well. And there's opportunities obviously during the class, but then afterwards to engage and connect.
Yeah, and so I know that we also recently debuted a new learning management software. So how does that make it a little bit easier for people? What's that experience been like?
So everything is now under one house, all under one roof, so to speak. So all of our e-learning and all of our instructor-led training, so our non-self-paced ones and our self-paced trainings is all under one location. All of your certificates of completion and everything from the past is now on there.
Yeah. And I'm guessing another way people can engage, in addition to just being students, is I'm sure that you are always looking for instructors and presenters. So can you talk a little bit about how people can maybe get involved in that way?
Yes, so we have an ongoing webinar program, always looking for topics primarily for Level 3s, but we're always looking for Level 2s and a variety of advanced topics. So kind of across the board to share their expertise, again, whether it's about codes and standards or whether it's a little bit more about soft skills. So anything in between, definitely interested and want to bring those into the mix to present to our audience on an online platform.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Thanks for having me.
We're joined right now by Prakash Gokulanandam. He is the director of ASNT India. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome, Prakash.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about the services offered at ASNT India?
ASNT India is a newly established organization by ASNT. It was incorporated in 2023. And we started our programs in December 2023 for training and certifications. ASNT India's major focus is on 9712 program of ASNT, and our goal is to provide a credible certification and quality training to the industry in the country. And we are doing 9712 level 2 training and certification, and also NDT level 3 training and certifications is being done in ASNT India facility. Apart from this, we are focused on seminars, conferences and workshops. So this is the products and services that ASNT India do.
Great. And so what are some of the goals for ASNT India moving forward?
So moving forward, ASNT India, as I said, is focusing on 9712. Until now, the ASNT NDT Level 3 is the product that ASNT is selling more in India, and we have Level 3 certificate holders all over the globe, and also in ASNT in India, we have about 2,000 Level 3s. Our goal is to move into the Level 2 market and get into the Level 2 market and qualify and certify many Level 2s in country and also in the region around.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Right now we have Paul Lang. He is ASNT's Chief Global Officer and then Executive Director of the ASNT Certification Services. Welcome, Paul.
Oh, hi, Garra. How are you doing?
I'm
Haley?
doing great.
Good to see you again.
Good to see
Glad
you.
to be here.
So
Wonderful event, isn't it?
It's been so good. This is such a great venue, and everybody seems really excited.
Fantastic.
So I know you'll be part of today's general session, which is going to give people an opportunity to engage, that's the word of the conference, with an important topic, which is NDT certification. So can you describe the current state of certification in the NDT industry?
Oh boy, with all the travelings I've done like in the last year, I would say it's confusing to some, depending on where you are in the region. And in other areas, it's in flux about what program or what certification scheme do I use, who does the certifications of that, and how do I get the training for it? So we're at a time now where there is just a lot going on. Industry's asking for a lot, and we have to respond in how we're going to do certification and also to do that training for it.
Yeah. So what are the challenges facing the industry right now?
So I think the challenges almost run the same way. Okay, what certification scheme am I using? Is it acceptable globally or not acceptable? What's the gap between schemes? Do I use employer-based? Do I use third-party? Do I have a hybrid mix? And with the technology advancing so quickly, I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all now. You have to find a system that probably has both of those combined. I think third-party certification is the baseline for workforce and an employer base for the advanced techniques.
So how can people engage with ASNT certification services?
I think the first thing is come this morning for the general session. We're going to talk about the training, the qualification, certification of NDT individuals now and what it should look like in the future. And we'll start road mapping our conversations with the theme of engage and how we're going to go about doing that. So I'm looking forward to that. And in the afternoon, they have a session just on TC1A to try to help the members and those that are here learn more about how to properly implement the TC1A program, which is our employer-based certification programs.
Yeah. A lot going on in certifications.
A lot going on. A lot.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Oh, I'm
Thank you,
loving
Paul.
it. All right, thank you very much.
Welcome, Marty. This is Marty Wenzig. He is the chair of our ATO committee. Hi, Marty.
Garra, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah. So ATO, for those that you don't know, is authorized training organizations. So can you tell us a little bit about your role and a little bit about the ATO committee and this program that's available now?
Sure. About 3 years ago, we were talking about in ASNT about how to strengthen weaknesses in training. Now, when I say weaknesses in training, that doesn't mean people are doing it wrong. It's just that there's a real wide bandwidth of how training is given to technicians, NDT technicians. When you think about it, it goes from employers who teach their own people, which serves their purpose, to a college or that may teach accredited class. So there's a real wide bandwidth there, and that kind of creates problems unintentionally. But if you're going and working in a weld shop, for example, you're going to learn how to do penetrant testing, or let's say, on welds. That makes sense. You may not learn anything else. Now, what happened in my lifetime, I owned a company, I owned a testing laboratory, and I hired people to go into power plants. And unfortunately, there was a number of times people would apply for a job, drive to Pennsylvania for an interview, and I sit there and say, okay, you're telling me you have training for level 2 in penetrant testing. And they show me a certificate, show me that. And I said, okay, and I'd ask them questions about different techniques. And they give me the deer in the headlight look, right? And they weren't wrong, and they thought they actually learned everything. So that weakness started what becomes the ATO, the idea of the ATO program.
Yeah.
And I think if by ASNT, by us starting that program, and what we've done is we're taking an accreditation process, much like college. You have a college degree?
I sure do.
Okay, where'd you go to school?
They'll want me
Notice
to say,
I take this over, right?
They'll want me to say the Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University. That's great. Okay, who is your accrediting agency?
I don't know off the top of my
head.
head.
You don't know. That's right. And see,
Deer in headlights.
But see, that gives the college the power of that degree, is the accrediting agency. Okay, in other words, you could go to a college and get a degree based on life experiences, right? If you pay enough money, you can get a pretty degree. And unfortunately, that's legal, but it's not worth that much.
Right.
Okay, so the accreditation process, we took that and said, well, we could write an accreditation process and make it equal for consultants, private industries, private schools, and colleges, and be able to accredit them all.
So who should consider becoming an ATO accredited?
Well, like what we did was we took the ASNT database that I believe you gave me, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, and we categorized those who are in there into the 4 categories. So you have consultants, you have institutions that may teach training as part of it because they hire people for themselves. You could have junior, senior colleges. You could have tech and vo-tech schools. So it really fits all of them. So we wrote the accreditation process so that everybody could have an opportunity of becoming an ATO.
That's great. And so what kind of responses have you been hearing from the industry about this program?
That's a good question. What happened was ASNT did, and I don't know if this is the correct word, but they did blasts, like these little paragraphs in June and July. At that time, we received responses from at least 9 institutes domestically and 13 places internationally, which we weren't expecting.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, so that presents a new things to think about of where are we heading, what's our strategy going forward here in the next couple of years. But the places that were kind of evenly divided of domestically who responded to us. So we had private organizations, we had private schools, and we also had colleges that responded.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I know for those that are attending the conference, you'll be hearing more about the ATO program, but for those that are just watching from home, go to asntcertification.org to learn more.
Thanks,
Okay.
Marty.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So this year, ASNT forged a strategic partnership as a sponsor for the Center of Nondestructive Evaluation at Iowa State University. And we're joined by Dr. Reza Zoughi, the CNDE director. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely.
Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me for this.
So can you tell us, the viewers, a little bit about CNDE and the services it provides for the field of NDT?
Tomorrow morning, I actually have a little talk about that, and then we have a booth this year.
Oh,
That
excellent.
explains everything, so anybody wants to get detailed information, they can
Which-
come. Sorry,
That's
CND
okay.
has been around since 1985, and it's the only center of its kind in the country, and I joined in 2019, and I always wondered why ASNT and CND were not more closely aligned. So it was the year that I actually met Neil. He came on board about that time. We seemed to hit it off. We both agreed we should do this, and then COVID hit. And that sort of pushed everything back for a while. But thankfully, last year, ASNT joined, and now they're a full member. So I think we have 15 or so members. But as I will mention tomorrow, ASNT's partnership is somewhat different, particularly from, as you mentioned, strategic point of view. We are the only 2 entities in the country dedicated to NDT, NDE, but we have, of course, different, things that we do, different missions, but in the end, it's for the betterment of the community. So I'm thrilled. I think Neil is, and everyone who knows about it is very excited.
I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with my new role in advocacy.
There
so-
you go. Absolutely. I need to come up and visit with you, and then go knock on some door. No, I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do that.
So what are some key areas of NDT research right now?
So additive manufacturing is, from a manufacturing point of view, is pretty out there, and there's quite a bit of there's a lot of challenge when it comes to doing NDT, especially inline NDT, so you can stop a process of building something expensive and large when you think something may have gone wrong, as opposed to do it afterwards. So there's quite a bit of effort being put in there, and we're not different than others getting involved in that.
And how can people engage with CNDE?
So it's actually quite easy. I hate to say this, but you go to our website, right? We are at Iowa State, so you just Google CNDE and it pops up. And you can contact me directly, and anybody here can come by the booth and I can explain to them more. We meet twice a year. Our board meets twice a year. And so the next meeting is November 12th to 14th. So if anybody is interested in perhaps joining CNDE, we invite them to come. They can be part of the 2.5-day, event. Involves students, research, discussions, what do we do next year, and so on. They can see how CNDE operates and what benefits it has, so they can make that decision for themselves, as opposed to me telling them.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Well, thank
Reza.
you again.